What a stage at the Giro D'Italia. Stage 8 of the 2025 edition proved to be something remarkably special, one that will live long in the memory. The talk before the stage that it would be one for the breakaway, but GC riders, including Juan Ayuso in the white jersey now, looking to do something different perhaps. Roglic had pink. Did he really want it though? The stage would begin in Giulianova, just about in the north of Abruzzo, before crossing into the Marche, where the majority of the stage would take place. It was up and down all day, 197 kilometres in total, 3,800 metres of climbing, finishing in Castel Raimondo, an habitual finishing place for Tirreno Adriatico. This stage, a wink to that spring race. A very late Red Bull kilometre offering bonus seconds too. This promised to be a big one. And you could see it straight from the start. A flag wave and an attack from XDS Astana. It will be the first of many attacks from many teams. Mas Pedersen would be one of those riders. In the Maglia Ciclamino, this was the start of his Giro 2.0, and after 50 Ks he was still away. A couple of other riders were with him, including De Preto and Catania, but they'd be caught with 145 kilometres to go, but still no decision as to who might go in the breakaway. After a relatively flat start, it was to the hills and mountains, and that would change the profile of rider who could get up the road. The fighting continued up the various climbs. Picturesque squares, no time to admire them. Italy always a beautiful canvas for this race to play out on, and it was one of the young Italian favourites who's now grown into a proper Grand Tour rider, Lorenzo Fortunato, a former stage winner and now King of the Mountains holder, who'd be out there trying to get the big points. He was part of a big group that started to take time, and a minute. It looked as though the break had gone with 107 kilometres to go. But it was a big break. It was taking time. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe were pretty happy with it. A few riders up the road meant there might be an opportunity to give away the Maglia Rosa. The best place was Fortunato himself. He'd take King of the Mountains points at the top of Sasso Tetto, with Romain Bardet taking second. Fortunato adding to his already considerable lead in the competition. Over the top they'd go, and they'd open up a gap. Other riders coming across to close them. Was this the genesis of a winning move? The group at around 20 riders was probably too big to go all the way on its own, and the selections were being made a long way from the finish. Igor Arrieta was another big man in it. He'd helped to chase the group down. Luke Platt was there as well, Dylan van Baarle, Georg Steinhauser, and Platt would be a man to go at 70 Ks to go, with Steinhauser on his wheel. The Maglia Rosa group at over 5 minutes. The stage was surely going to the breakaway. But which member of the breakaway? That was always the question. Wilco Kelderman came across to the move, a man who'd never won on the World Tour, despite having won the Maglia Rosa, looking for his first road race win of his career. It was panic behind though. 1 minute 15 and growing, had the move gone. 7 riders at the front. Romain Bardet had also made it across a day after losing contact with the general classification after a crash. And then it started to split again. Kelderman and Diego Ulissi, another of those riders close to the Maglia Rosa, with 51 Ks to go. Steinhauser made his move too. Arrieta went with him. Luke Platt was biding his time. And behind, there was problems maybe for the Maglia Rosa, with Bahrain Victorious contributing, and the gap started to come down. There was another effort from Platt, this time to get across, and the way he went across was incredible. No sooner had he got there, he was on the move again. A big, big acceleration with 45 kilometres to go over the penultimate climb of the day. This was a big power push. Big ring, big watts, and a big advantage soon. 34 seconds to Steinhauser a few kilometres later. Steinhauser's left behind. Kelderman, Arrieta and Ulissi were still chasing. And in the peloton there was still the doubt as to whether Fortunato or Ulissi were going to be given the opportunity to become the first Italian to wear the Maglia Rosa in 4 seasons. They stood at almost 3 minutes and just over 4 minutes respectively back. UAE had taken it up at the front as well. Plapp continued to ride away. He needed water though, he needed a bit more. Fueling so important, but he was managing. The team car finally across the gap almost a minute. Arrieta had taken off, leaving those behind, but he was soon to be caught, with Red Bull again controlling the gap nicely. In Group 2, it looked as though the stage win had gone. Ulissi was trying to coax Arrieta back into riding, and he was riding, of course, for time. Pidcock, however, kicking it off in the main group. Platt looking like he'd taken the stage, but the nerves were jangling for XDS Astana. Could they take the Maglia Rosa? They needed around 4 minutes of a gap. Platt, though, on his way to the final kilometre. And after a day without cessation of hostilities, Platt coming out on top. A first ever Grand Tour stage win. A first big win in Europe. Luke Plapp taking the 21st stage win for Jaco Alula down the years, and himself really coming of age. Second for Kelderman, third for Ulissi. That meant 4 bonus seconds. Could he now take the Maglia Rosa? The count was on behind as Platt received congratulations. Ulissi waited. Juan Ayuso took off trying to force a gap he forced to take a single second back on Roglic, who was now 3 in front. And with the peloton coming in almost 5 minutes down, it was celebration day. Ulissi ending the Italian Odyssey. 4 years without the Maglia Rosa, the longest drought for the host nation, and a Tuscan man who'll be wearing the Maglia Rosa in Tuscany on stage 9. An Australian, though, celebrating victory for the second time this Giro after Caden Groves. It's now Luke Plapp. What a win. And what a day of entertainment. Platt finally getting his moment in front of the watching public in Castel Raimondo. A day he will never, ever forget. In the general classification, it's a 1-2 for XDS Astana. Primož Roglic, still the best of the main GC contenders, but seeing his lead cut by a second. And on the GC podium, in the Maglia Rosa, towards the end of his career now, Diego Ulissi, having won 8 stages, now finally wears the coveted pink jersey. He's the first Italian since Alessandro De Marchi in 2021. And he will wear it riding home into his native Tuscany. Past the lake and over the border into Tuscany, into the hills. Its famous hills and to the famous white roads. It's a Strade Bianche stage, the ending to the famous classic in spring, with the climb to Via Santa Caterina and the beautiful entry into Siena itself. You can watch it all on TNT Sports.